Hey, I'm Sarah.
And I'm Amy.
Welcome to United Humans, a podcast that goes into the personal lives of our 6,000 plus volunteer medics and their families.
75-year-old male, possible cardiac arrest.
My name is Gabi Friedson.
I'm Dina. This is Ronnie. We're a couple.
I'm Vicky.
United Hatzalah's only mission is saving lives, and we'll discuss how that doesn't leave room for discrimination against color, race, religion, or sexual orientation.
Let's talk about fear, trauma, pain, and connection.
Join us. Let's discuss these diverse volunteers from all across the country. Welcome back to United Humans. Yay, another awesome guest.
Welcome, welcome.
Today is someone, oh my gosh, I feel like we were playing tennis for the last few weeks. Like, does this day work? No. Does that time work? Yes. Does that, no, we have to cancel. No, corona. No, this, that, no, until you finally got here. It's like a miracle that you're sitting here. So welcome to Dr. Einat Kaufman, a psychologist and about 5 billion other things, and the director of our Psychotrauma Crisis and Response Unit. We're just so honored to have you here. And I would say, like, I would introduce you with all your titles, but I'd had to, like, memorize a long list. So I'm going to let you introduce yourself a little bit.
So you actually say I'm really a nerd. Which is really okay. Okay, like
a certified nerd?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I started my education about 19 in the university, and I'm about, I won't tell you my age, but I'm still learning, and every year I learn something else and something new. So I'm actually, a geek.
Wait, you okay, geek, certified?
So I have a Ph.D. in psychology, and of course a bachelor and master degree in psychology also. I'm an expert in anxiety, trauma, and sorrow also, and bereavement. And I do like many topics and many methods in the cognitive psychology, like that will be really how to do. Just listen, okay? Like CBT, MDR, RBT, biofeedback, ACT, okay? And that was really good words because each one of
DBT.
them, and DBT also I forgot. I'm sorry. I'm sure I forgot many more, like couple, family, and couple therapy, and family therapy, and I guess I have more expertise, but I'm a geek, so I'm really proud to be that.
Sounds like a great geek to me.
Very, very qualified geek.
I'm a profiler also, and this time I have like a new dream, and I'm studying this year psychology and, I forgot to say that, in courts, lawyer and psychology.
Lawyer psychology?
Yeah, so this is a new method.
Because you were bored. Clearly.
Yeah, I say, what do I have to study this year? I can't watch only Netflix all day long, so I have to do something with myself, and then I'm
sure many people out there could relate. Wow, that's really, really wild. I feel like a bigger geek than you right now. So I don't even know where to begin because, first of all, you're just so like overqualified. So the fact that you even just took the time to sit with us today is really, really, we really appreciate it. There's so many directions to go in, but I don't know, let's start from where you're from and when you made Aliyah. How did you get to Israel?
Okay, so I was born in Israel in the Kippur War, and when I was like 6 months or something like this, my the part of my mother's family, she's from Argentina, and they decided, and my father was Romanian, so they decided they are moving to Argentina because they had enough of wars. And then we lived there like 9 years, and my sister, she born over there, and she's also a medic in Hatzalah.
Shout out to?
Yeah.
What's her name?
Einat Kaufman.
Okay.
And she's, and she's a medic, and she's also, I think, an ambulance driver. She's really fresh in that. She's really proud about that. And so I was raised in Argentina, and when I was about 11 years old, we come back to Israel, of course, to a different war. But for me, it was like the first time. I didn't remember anything. I have to learn the language again and everything again, the culture again, the
You
strange
didn't know Hebrew
letters.
when you came back?
No.
Wow, so your first language is Spanish?
Yes, it's Spanish. Yes, of course.
And second Hebrew and third English?
Yeah.
But you probably know like 6 other languages, and you probably have a PhD
I
in all of
understand
them.
a little bit of Italian, I have to say. Yeah. But I'm not able to gossip in Italian, I'm sorry. Just quite understand, that's all.
Well, Spanish and Italian have similarities.
That's right.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So let's start when you moved back to Israel with your family. Where did you come to?
We
you
were
set up?
living in the south, in Kiryat Gat. It's like Einat Pituach. It's like a tiny town with a lot of criminals and simple people. And it was really tough, like every aliyah. For me, it was an aliyah completely.
It is an aliyah, for sure. Okay.
Of course.
Yeah.
So it is really tough to know the culture. And before I understand a little bit Hebrew, I have to understand Moroccan.
Sure. There's a lot of Moroccans
because that
living
was
there.
the native language in Kiryat Gat.
Yeah.
So I really understand Moroccan also.
Funny.
And I'm really good in cursing in
missing
Moroccan. Now I remember that.
Funny.
And it's a funny language. It's really interesting. So I grew up over there, and then I went to the end of the elementary school and junior high, and the high school I did in a boarding school next to Ashkelon. It was an amazing experience for me. Really? I drive in a tractor, and I work with cows, with chickens, with everything.
Are you like an animal lover?
Yeah, I am an animal lover. I'm a cat lady, an old cat lady.
Oh my gosh, that's probably the most important fact about you. How many cats do you have?
I have 7 cats in my house. I collect cats from the street, and my family say enough. I almost have a new cat last week. When I was back from the airport, I was sitting and waiting for my husband to come with the luggage, and there was a nice black cat like cuddling with me, and I asked myself, okay, if he jumped to the car, he will come home. Wow. But he didn't. So I have 7 and not 8. They work with me in my private clinic at home. They sit with me in the therapy. My patients love them.
I mean, you picture a cat lady and you think of gray, fuzzy hair, big nose. It's
not Einat, no.
You're just the hottest, coolest, sexiest woman. So you do not look like a cat lady.
But I always have hair on me.
Oh no, but I'm allergic, so
Get away.
Oh no.
You'll be able to visit you in your home.
Oh,
I'll take my allergy medicine.
that's great. So come.
Yeah.
But I love my cats, and my cats are like part of my family, and they are working with me. It's amazing. I don't know how to treat people with animals. I never learned that yet.
There's something.
Yes. But they are with me in the clinic, and it's amazing. Like if someone feels intense or cry, and suddenly the kitten is just like climbed over him, and the person who didn't like cat before just start cuddling him, and he become calm. And then when the cat sensed that, he just come back over me. So it's amazing to see that they build a relationship with them.
Wow.
That's part of my patient. They say, can you take care of that? Cocos will wait for me in the clinic, or Lamore will be there, and it's really nice.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you're doing animal therapy.
Without knowing how to do that, it's like,
instinctively.
yeah, that's
Okay,
right.
so you went to this Pneumonia in the south.
And then I went to university. One and more and more and more and more.
So you started in studying
Psychology.
Why did you want to study psychology in the first place?
I always wanted to understand what's happened to people. Why do they think like this? Why do they choose like that? I really was curious about people, just to know them, to understand how come one of them can become a murderer, or one is crying all day long. And I just was looking for answers, actually.
And after all your years of study,
do I
you
know?
have answers?
Part of them I have answers, and part of them I understand that sometimes bad things happen to good people, and you don't have the choice for doing that. You are able to choose what you do when something like this occurs to you, but yes, I have more answers today.
Wow.
Much more answers today.
I'm really curious how you being a psychologist turned you into a medic at United Hatzalah. And when did that start? What year did you begin?
I think this is like the ADHD part of me who want to always run to danger. I always choose, being a psychologist, I always choose like the dangerous topic. I start working with children with problem like neurological parts problems. So I went to Budapest, and I lived there like almost 3 years with my daughters, and I did one of my expertise over there, and it was like really tough topics. I remember, like, you're young, but like 20 years ago there was here and a crazy time with Remedia. It was a food for babies, and they have a neurological part, and there were like some kind of violence viruses. There was really tough time, and I really deal with that because it was so amazing to me to always go to the edge. And after that, I decided it's enough, babies and children, and then I want to work with something calm. So I work with the government, and I opened 3 centers of
I'm sorry, did you say calm and then government?
Yeah, and listen to the end of the
Okay.
sentence. And I opened 3 centers of families who were affected by murder in Israel. Not like mob murder, like random murder of family. And then I opened these 3 centers. It was like a baby to me. I really enjoyed this time. And then I left this project after a few years, and then I moved to something else, and I worked with the Israeli prison for a long time as a freelancer. Actually, until the corona, I'm programmed to go back over there. I love to be in the danger areas. So during my PhD, one of my professors, she looked at me and said, "You look so crazy. I guess you need to work with us." And then I was sending from Israel, which is a derive of UNICEF in Israel, and I was sending for my first delegations abroad. So I was in Liberia, in Africa. After the Ebola crisis, I was in Peru and Ecuador when there were the floods and the earthquakes and the states.
Affiliated with who sent you on the mission? I didn't
Israel.
Israel. Okay.
And I was in Puerto Rico also after the hurricane. I forgot the name, I'm sorry. But it was a terrible hurricane. And then one of the day when I was on my way to Megiddo prison back in the north, I got the call from a nice lady. She said, "Oh, finally you answer your phone." I said, "Excuse me, who are you?" And she said, "My name is Miriam Balin." And she was sound so nice and so happy. And how can I help you? And she said, "I was looking for you, and I heard about you, and we initiate a new psychotrauma unit in Hatzalah, and I would really like you to take part with us." And I said, "What is Hatzalah?" I don't know what is it. And then she explained me. And when she explained me the Hosen part.
Wait, what year is this?
I think 5-6 years ago.
Yeah, it needs to be around 2016, 17, because that's when Miriam came on, and she.
Okay, I was gonna say 15. Okay.
Yeah, around 15, 16. Yeah.
Something like. And then she explained me what is the goal of the Hosen unit. And it
Chosen is Hebrew for Psychotrauma Crisis and Response Unit. We're just going to go with Chosen, I think, on this
I think it's
podcast.
And it's also the resilience word in Hebrew. So when she explained me what is the whole point of the Chosen unit, I was saying, it's amazing. I always go abroad and help other people. Finally, I have the opportunity to help here. My family is at home. So it sounds amazing to me. And she was so enthusiastic about that. And she was so passionate about it. Yeah, and
So
you want to follow her. Actually, you want to follow her wherever she goes. I felt like I want to be with her. So I didn't know she was so young when I met her, but she is a crazy blonde people, and I really loved her. And together we went to a few delegation from Hatzalah, of course.
Right, so I do want to talk about that. Let's just take it back a notch. So you were one of the founding members of the Psychotrauma Unit.
Yeah.
And so how did that be, like, meaning I know the history, but can you tell us from your point of view how it was started, how it was built up, and what it is for people who are not familiar?
Yeah, and what it is today, because I assume that in the beginning, everyone was already a trained psychologist before they were able to create that training. Okay.
I also saw that, but no.
Okay.
They just collected. The beginning, it was like a friendly thing, like you know someone who knows someone who want to help or want to assist, and then you join. Okay. And then we like start working together, and we start doing. But the workshop were like really fresh, and there was really not built in a professional way. And so I add my theory, which I research in my PhD, the virus theory, which I work all over the world, and now I work also here, and because it's focused on helping civilians after a mass trauma.
What's it called?
Virus. Virus. The initials VIOS.
Oh.
So your PhD was focused on mass trauma.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I can
that's
understand
why.
why Miriam she
Of
tracked
course.
you down, because that's
Of course.
what we'll get into more.
So you helped develop
the theory actually,
Okay, so yeah.
and now the protocol
And the training.
and the training, of course. So from the beginning, I was already part of the training.
Okay.
So the Hosen unit, it's something unique. It doesn't exist anywhere, and it's amazing how someone, I think Miriam, just sit and think about that. I think it's amazing. Really, it's an amazing startup, because the thing is, like, whenever is a crisis and the medics go over there, we start thinking about that there are like emotion parts that we really need to assist in the first moments, because in cases of trauma, it can be the same trauma to everybody, and only 15 or 10% will really be affected in the future, and they will develop a PTSD, but the post-trauma. But the majority, like the 85, they will live their life like nothing has happened. But it's wrong, because the majority will have medical problems in the future. They will have like fibromyalgia, they will have migraines, cholesterol, heart conditions, stress conditions. So if you help the person in the right moment, like in the few minutes after the trauma occurred, you can really save him for suffering in the rest of his life. And that was the unique thing about, I think this is the unique thing about the trauma unit. So wherever there is a time of an accident, of course in times of wars, but where is it an accident or like a CPR on a child or an adult or something like this, and the psychotrauma unit is there and they give the first psychology help, they save this family from the future. And this is amazing. It's like up to date, there are countries who's reaching to Hatzalah, please teach us, how do we do that? Because,
I get to.
yeah, because it's unique.
It's psychological first aid.
Yeah.
So in other words, we medics of United Hatzalah were always trained to help the physical, but if the person was having trauma or in shock from, example, they just lost someone in front of their eyes, there was a car accident. Also, we could talk about how our medics also, right, are involved in these traumas, and the unit also helps our medics deal with the trauma by going out on calls, which is another part of the program.
Mm-hmm.
So you're basically coming in and saying, let's catch this at the moment, and you finish the sentence.
Just as you would need to get to a CPR on time, you need to get to help in the mental way at the right time.
But meaning, will you get there at that moment, and then what's the goal for those next few minutes? Because I know those minutes, just like in a physically, medical situation, also emotionally and psychologically.
No, it's different. It's like as a medic, when there is something like there is a call, I just run to the scene and I'm trying to help as much as I can, because every minute counts life. Right. But as a trauma therapist, I don't run. I'm just the opposite. I'm standing and watching and evaluate the scene, and I'm searching for the power that the family has, like the strengths that they have, the needs that they have they have like a family beside them, have they have like connected to the community, do they need something after, and it's like about 10 minutes or 15 minutes, and after that I evaluate and I have like a scale, who needs that right now and who will be more affected in the future by my professional skills. So I start dividing the group. There's over there, part of it will be professionals like me, and part of them will be medics who know how to do chosen. And then I will tell them, you do that, and you take this, and you take that. And the first help that you do that, it's sometimes is to be a witness, that I hear you. I see that you have that, okay? I confess with you that you haven't really a bad time. And sometimes it's about to give them the first psychological tool, like you teach them how to breathe, teach them how to think in a different way, how to notice the kids, okay, or to give legitimate, like it's okay to cry, or it's okay not to cry, okay? It's okay that you want to go away, run away, and it's okay that you just need to sit and drink some water. And when you do everything like this, and you give the family that the feeling that they are in control, because the first thing that you lose in cases of trauma is the feeling of control and the feeling helpless. And as much as you feel helpless, it will be attached to the trauma. Like take the trauma and take the helpless feeling, and that will be your narrative of the trauma. that you felt so helpless and nobody's listened to you, nobody take care of you, and you are a victim, and you can be a victim for life. But at the moment that you attach to the person the feeling and the knowledge that are in control, okay, so there has a trauma, but they are in control, and they're able to take decisions, they're able to decide where to go, who take care of the kid and everything. So they have a different narrative, and that won't be in the future the victim narrative. This will be the responsible narrative, which is different.
Not that it happened to me, but that I was a part of what happened.
And I take control
Right.
the moment that's
The
happened.
decisions.
Yeah.
That's so interesting because we had 2 weeks ago we had Yogi Rimmel. I don't know if you know who that is. One of our medics who, one of the first medics of United Hatzalah, and he had a horrible, horrible family tragedy. And in the podcast, he talks about how his son, who had just lost his 3-week-old baby, and his wife, and him and his other son were severely, severely injured. How they were giving him a lot of decisions to make, and how that was helping him. So it's like that really connects.
I
So
remember
interesting.
that,
Yeah,
yeah.
I thought that was very interesting about burial and different things that came up, and they wanted to donate. I forget what he said, parts of her body, and so it's so interesting that helps long term.
Wow, it sounds that so much thought and professionalism has to go into the training of the Psychotrauma Unit to know what to do in those situations. So you said it before, I'm not fully sure. Did you help Miriam and the original team create the training course for
Yes.
Hossein? You did?
Yes,
okay.
yes.
So it came from different research, and I'm just curious a little bit more
Yeah.
about that.
We
how did it work?
merged like a lot of theories, and we build up. Today we have like the final protocol, but of course we build it by years, okay? We sometimes use this theory, and then we find out it's not okay, and then we change it and we adjust it more and more.
And it was very much based on data. I remember Miriam saying to me.
Yes,
there
of
was
course.
a lot of data that really
Of course.
built up this program.
Yeah.
Wasn't like, what do we think?
No. Sometimes from the side it's look like we do nothing. We just sit next to someone, or maybe tap him, or maybe just talk about life, but no.
So can you
There are a lot of
explain-
theories are running in our head.
Right. So it's funny. First of all, I'll just throw this in here because I think it's so funny. Years ago, before I knew what Hatzalah was, obviously way before I knew what Hossein was, I was next door neighbors with now I'm blinking, Dr. Quinn, Gary
Okay.
Quinn. And I remember him pulling up to the house. I was outside and him going, "Look, I have a vest for Hatzalah." And I'm like, "What? You joined Hatzalah?" He's like, "No, we started this new unit." And he told me about it, and I was blown away. So I know that he was one of the founders, and he helped incorporate EMDR. But I'm curious. So, like, I've seen tents, I've seen bottles of water, I've seen coloring books, I've seen little stools. Can you put this whole packet together? Like, what do these things do? How does that help?
It's different today. We don't have the huge bag that we used to carry. We just need ourselves, actually. That's the only thing that you need, or maybe a tissue, but a tissue paper. Because the thing is that at the moment as a therapist, you know the protocol, you know what to do, you feel safe. At the moment as a therapist, you feel safe, you're able to help and assist the people who's inside in front of you. So it's really important. And you don't need a tent or a stool or something like this. You just need to be there. And it's like, I'm sorry, but I look therapy as an art. It's like you have a plain new canvas, and then you start drawing that, and you have to choose the colors and choose the rhythm, and then you start doing your work. So, of course, Gary, he has an amazing method that he adjusts for us with the arrival of the EMDR, and he wrote a special protocol, which is amazing. And during the coronavirus, like there was a group of us who work together. We assist to the medical teams in the States, in the hospitals in Miami and New York also, and by working by his protocol by Zoom, which was amazing. He has an amazing head, and he is able to invent so many tools were really special for that. But the thing is, like, if you're just a normal therapist and you know how to do trauma, but you don't know how to do trauma in the field, and trauma just happen, because it's not like you have a clinic and you come to me and you have a session of 45 minutes and we have to talk and we're going to meet next week and next week after. It's something like it's in a unique patient. You probably want to see him just once, and maybe you have like 15 or 20 minutes. So you have to adjust yourself and change the way you do as a therapist to the trauma. This is why our training is so intense.
Yes.
And it's really intensive, and you have to practice and more, even if you have like 20 years of knowledge how to do therapy. It's
something
different.
unique.
No, when
It's
Miriam
really
was
unique.
working here, I would always, and maybe I can ask you this also, like she would speak about certain situations she was in as a mother and very difficult situations with children where she was on the scene and had to give trauma help. And I wonder, as a mother, how do you? I mean, you're years in this field, so I'm sure you've.
Yeah, but they're always like. I think one of the strong memories that I have is one time I was in the supermarket with my daughter, the little one, and there was a call like 10 blocks from my house about a young father who has OD, and then I take her with me. She was a young medic back then, and then I told her, okay, you come to me, you just stand on the side, and if there's not medic necessary, you just stand on the side. I have to do chosen.
How old was she?
She was like 20 years
Oh,
back
okay.
then, and now she's 24. So she was with me over there. And then you go to the scene, and there was like crawling baby, like 7 months, something like this, in the middle of the mess. And there were a lot of adults and policemen and neighbors and families. And everybody just go by the baby. And the baby was crawling between our legs. And in the room there was the father who passed away, and the mother, she was crying on him. And there was another baby, like 3 years old, something like this, running in the house. So my daughter, she picked up the young baby, and I was like in the end of the house, and there was like 1 second of which I watched to the side, and I saw her picking the baby, and it was like she's picking herself because the baby was identically like her when she was a baby, and it touched me so strong. It's like, oh my God, it's like I was disoriented for a few seconds. And because it was so strong, I didn't notice that the baby was so similar to her, because of course we're not family or something like this. She's a grown up right now, but she has like a huge blue eyes and a brown hair, exactly like she has. And she just picked the baby and put it in the crib or something like this, in the crib. I'm sorry, for him to be fine. But it was so strong. Okay, and then I have to remind myself, this is not my baby.
Right.
This is not ours. It is something different. And the thing that you have to do this split is really hard. Okay, because it surprisingly hold you in 1 second, and then I was like, okay, focus, go back to work, and then I went back to work and assist and do the chosen part.
And you give yourself time to. Do you have someone that you debrief with, that you talk with?
Yes,
that you,
of course.
Okay.
My best friend Bon Jovi helps me all the way. Yeah, we just keep singing
Yeah.
and shouting. I think I better sing it from him. I don't know, but we just.
Shout out to Bon Jovi.
Yeah.
Well, I can just imagine that, that if you're when you're splitting all the time, that you really need to let yourself
course.
think about what you went through
Yeah.
and what you saw.
Of course, and you have to think about and clear your mind, and you just like have to split that, and it's not your story, it's theirs. It's as much as it's said, but it's not mine. Even if they look, that was amazing baby. It's like
Wow.
she was beautiful as mine.
I think I'm scared to ask this question, but I'm going to. But I know that you're trained to like walk away from a scene and kind of disassociate. I mean, to definitely right. You
Cut
need
clear.
to right. First, you need to work through it,
Mhm.
acknowledge whatever, validate, and then continue on with your life. Otherwise, you just be stuck in trauma all the time.
That's right.
Is there an example of a time that was really hard to do that, or you couldn't do that? Like it was just such an intense situation.
No.
Wow.
No, I really believe that, okay? So you have to cut clear and leave the scene, and not, like, no strings attached. And you not make connection with the family after, and you don't talk with them. No, because this is our self-care, okay? To do, instead of that, you have a nice second traumatization.
Right.
And this is for life. And as I always say to our team, it's like I want to be really egoistic, and don't work so hard after in internal chosen for the medics. And I now want to to them to come back so wound later, because anyway you will go back wound after you see this yes, the crisis, like someone hang himself or something like this. It's really hard. We don't go just for a broken leg.
Right.
We always go in for the extreme scenes. So no.
And
we
on a
have to cut.
technical level, I mean, I think I know the answer, but I'm going to ask you anyways. How is it that the Moked, which is the dispatch center, first, they're not calling you first. They're obviously calling the medics first. So how do they assess a situation and decide, oh, this is a call that we need to call psychotrauma for?
We have Adas Rocham, and she is a social worker. She's amazing. And I think like she's the second half of me in Hatzalah. I couldn't live without her. I have to say that. I call her my wife. Here, really. And it's amazing. Big. And we work together really good. And she is the operation manager. So whenever the Moked has a question or a Hosan crisis, they first call her and ask her. What
She's
do
on
we
call
supposed-
24/7.
She doesn't sleep. I don't know how she lives. She has like young children. I don't know how she do. And she's ER. She also is an ER social worker in Laniado. She really work really hard, and she never sleep. Never sleep. I don't know how she do that. I adore her. But it's amazing because first they call her, and then she has to take the huge decision if we are going, if she's sending medics or just Hosen Chovesh, if she will open a call in Shabbat or in a holiday or something like this. She's also religious, so she know everything about that. And then she will call me, okay, if it's something professional. And then I will, like in Meron crisis, of course.
Yeah, so I wanted to move on and hear about some of the bigger operations you went with a team with Hatzalah. For example, I know that you were in Pittsburgh and Houston. Meron, we didn't even get to yet. So maybe you want to talk about those delegations.
Yeah, I was going to say, just to give a little bit of background for people who don't necessarily know this, but we also have international programming and operations. And in the past, we were in Haiti and Nepal, but we didn't have the Psychotrauma Unit yet. So it was there really just for humanitarian purposes and medical response. But then when there was Harvey in Houston, and then there was Irma in
Miami.
And then there was also
The Tree of Life in Pittsburgh.
massacre in Pittsburgh.
Which wasn't that long after Harvey. I was
No,
almost sure
right.
that Miriam
Few months.
and you guys came back, and then you were out very short time after.
I think it's I'm so addict to the tents. I really love that part. Maybe you didn't know that before, but I really love this part. It's like you're living on call. You always have to listen to the news and to understand what is the next crisis, and then you always have to be ready. And like my family know I'm already crazy, so they know that. Okay, so the moment that a crisis occurred around the world, no matter when, we have like a tiny group that we start texting, of course, in the middle of the night, because always crises are in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
Like this war happened at 5 o'clock in the morning. Okay, it's always like this. And then the important thing is to arrive over there as fast as you can. So in 24 hours, you have to leave your family, you have to carry your baggage and be there. And this is what we do.
Not your emotional baggage.
Your emotional baggage is supposed to come with you wherever you go, okay?
The physical things, yeah. So clear.
But this is the thing. This is when you choose to go in delegation and to live from delegation to delegation. This is the way you live, okay? So
can you tell us about
a
a little bit about Pittsburgh and Houston?
yes, it's different because usually the delegations it's after nature crisis. Okay, like hurricane or some earthquake or something like this. And Pittsburgh was really different because it was a massacre, terrible in the synagogue and in a tiny community. And then we have like a few moments to decide, and we travel over there. And at the moment you get there, you need to start to communicate with the community to choose how you split the team. Okay, so part of us went to talk with the families, and part of us went to the funerals, and part of us went to the elementary school that the kids will study over there. So we work with the teams, And part of that, we do like one night, and we joined them with another organization, Medical Dream or something like this, Rofe Halom. There are the clown
Dream doctors.
Dream doctors. Forgot the name. There are clowns. So that was amazing. So we make contact with them, and then we work together, which is really amazing. It's an amazing topic which I didn't know before. And for example, one of the evenings we have like a family group to the parents. Like we hold like 30 person like couples in one part of the house, and the clowns were in the different room working with the kids, and they also do like relief therapy, and we did that with the parents. And other night we were working with the teenagers, like a pop-up group. It's everything a pop-up thing. It's not something that you plan, and it always have to work with the local team to teach them how to deal with the chosen later. So
one of your goals is always to teach locals on the ground how to handle it after you guys leave.
Yes, of course. And if they need like supervision from afar, of course we can assist them. But it's like I really believe in that method, and I really believe that we have to spread it to the world. So at the moment we get to some place, we have to give them the method, and they will able to do that because they know the best of their culture, of the local, mimics and narrative and something like this. I'm a stranger, but for them this is their life. And
so then we also sent a mission to Surfside, which I believe you were very much
I was in Germany. I was supposed to go, and I was in travel in Germany, but of course.
And then as well, right now, currently, as we're doing this podcast, we have a mission right now in
Moldova.
In Moldova, right?
Yeah.
Who are helping the refugees from Ukraine. So have you been involved in this mission at all?
Yes, of course. I'm in the middle.
You're involved in everything.
I'm in
I looked
everything.
for you in the picture, and I said, okay, Einat didn't go so she can meet with us today. Yeah. I was like a blonde, but it was
I was like planned to go, but I couldn't because I just have like a private vacation, and I came back last week. But of course, we're overall all the time the needs, and I'm already like collecting the therapists who will able to go, even myself. I don't know now yet. We're really holding, because in cases of refugees, which I work with Israel, with the Syrian refugees back then, the first thing they need is like food and medical help. But after that, they need the chosen. Of course, they need a chosen, okay? Because they travel a lot of hours. That the first time they have a war, they stay in the metro, okay?
And they
left everything, okay? So you have to give them the first assistance. So me and Avi all day by phone, like thinking
Avi
about
Marcus
that.
is the chief paramedic who's in Ukraine, not Ukraine, in Moldova right now.
That's right.
And also in charge of this mission.
So we are evaluating all the time what are their needs. Beside of that, we opened a hotline back last week to the local teams in Uman and in Kiev. And I was on call all the weekend, okay? I was talking with the rabbi over there.
Really?
Yeah, and Friday night, like in the middle of dinner, he sent me a record, and then I left my family because they're used to that. And I walked to the other room, and I was talking with them, and all the weekend, okay? It was pikuach nefesh.
Of course.
So we were talking about that because it's so tough. It's the first time for them.
I would say it's probably, so I guess you're building more of a team that after the refugees settle here in Israel, then you're going to work with them here.
Course.
Okay, so it's not, they don't need that specific assistance just yet.
I don't know if the refugees will come here. Probably they will stay in the borders over there because they wish to go back to their house. So I don't know how long the war will be, and if it ends today or next week.
I think they said that they're expecting 10,000 refugees in Israel from Ukraine.
No idea.
Yeah.
No idea. But I guess we'll be involved with that.
Oh, yeah, wow.
Of course.
And what about, it feels like Corona kind of stopped because of Ukraine, but but it hasn't. And there was I still hear many sad mental health stories, and I would love to hear what were you doing? Where were you? You have a specific story. I know that mental health and Corona. I mean, now I feel like now you hear about any really difficult mental health situation. you connected to Corona, especially with teenagers and young adults?
I think Corona, it's a game changer in therapy at all, especially in trauma therapy, because suddenly people understand that they need it, okay, and suddenly they understand that help and trauma, it's not only in crisis of mass trauma. Sometimes it's happen if you have one of the members of a family sick or dead, or if you are older and you are isolated from your family and you're feeling loneliness, or if you are a teenager and you have to study by Zoom. So if you are lucky and you are like the cool guy in the class, so everything is fine because you have friends. But if you're not in the top 10, and if you're like in the side, so now you really feel alone. And because of the corona, we have a lot of cases of depression, of anxiety, even suicidal. So a lot of disease, like mental disease, happened, and families split because they're not able to bury all the problems that they had before the corona. And during the quarantine, it's become worse because you have to live with him or with her. So in the Hosten, we help in many levels. Like sometimes the level was actually bring food to families. Okay, even in the first few days, it's like we deliver food from house to house.
Of you and your daughter
Yeah.
food.
So sometimes it's that, and sometimes we bake cakes for the elder people, and just to give them something sweet.
Yeah.
And it was so touching because you're not able to get closer. You're like at the end of the corridor, next to the elevator,
So
and
we're
the
talking
people's
about,
over
like, during
there.
the lockdown, you're talking about.
Yeah.
Specifically, yeah. Okay.
Like in the
Yeah.
first weeks of the lockdown. It's like the city was empty, and just us were traveling and pick up boxes and carry.
And Rishon, where you live, there is a lot of elderly,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
Yes. So we have like a fixed list, and then we have go them
And you know
every
who to go
week.
to.
Yeah, and we meet them. It was
Wow.
amazing. I don't know who helped who. Perhaps they helped me, and I
Sure,
helped them
sure.
because it was amazing. And the experience in that with my daughter was the best. She's a part of me. And then we worked with the Jerusalem municipality, and we helped them like by their needs. So sometimes we get calls, and we did like for the first time therapy by phone. Okay,
Yeah.
not always like the elderly people didn't know how to use the Zoom.
Sure.
Okay, so we did it by phone, and we have like a hotline for them and helped. As I mentioned, we helped the hospitals in the States because they were in severe times for the medical teams. And we did a lot of things. Like, I'm not able, I think some days I will sit and write whatever we did in the corona because we did a lot. We always were busy. And from the other side, we didn't feel safe to go out. For example, I have a medical condition and I was really afraid to go out. So in the majority of the cases, I was like helping from far away because I was afraid for my life. After the vaccine arrived, so I felt safer and I was able to go out. I now I remember I joined the team to vaccine the people. So me and my daughter were helping to vaccinate, and it was amazing. It was amazing, really.
Do you know of, and I'm just curious, do you know of any research that's being done on the effects of depression and suicide because
It's
of corona?
like
still
fungus
current?
after the rain. Right now, everybody is written about that.
No, but I'm saying everyone's talking about it.
No,
because-
written. All the
Oh,
researchers
writing.
are actually writing about that because this is the hot topics. Because the effect of the COVID, we will feel it like in the next generation.
You think you're going to write? So you think you're going to write about it?
I
also?
hate to write.
Well, you
But
wrote your
sometimes-
doctorate. So,
yeah, but I still hate to write. Yes, I just wrote a paper about the Meron crisis from Hatzalah.
Ah,
And
okay.
where me and my partner, my husband, were writing a huge paper also about that because it's a huge thing that we are
What does
doing.
your
right
husband
now.
do?
It's also a psychologist, but he is a researcher.
We should bring up Miron.
Yeah,
Mhm,
could
yeah.
you talk about that? I don't even. It's
Meron is it's wow, it's a unique thing,
Yeah.
and I hope it will stay unique.
It's not even a year.
No.
Not a year. In May, we're coming up to a year.
Yeah. I can talk about the Hosten part because we have we always send a few people to the mountain. We don't send a lot of people because it always needed the medical teams, like someone is hurt or something like this. But the chosen, it was less because it's holy. Okay, it's a happy thing. So we don't need a lot of chosen. But of course, Meron occurs, of course, in the middle of the night. And then Hadass, she didn't sleep, of course. She was listened to the Bluetooth.
She was there or she was not?
No, she was at home. She lived in the Shomron.
Okay.
And then she was listened to the call that maybe it's the beginning of Iran, maybe, like after 2 or 3 CPRs. And of course, she didn't sleep. She was listening like about it was 1 o'clock in the night or something like this. And then she called me after 5 minutes to say, wake up, make yourself a coffee, I need you. And when she say, I stand, I don't ask. So I just making myself a coffee and start listening again. And then it start rolling up. The medical part, it's take like half an hour, 40 minutes or something like this until they ended the CPR, ended the call that ended the medical part.
There
but
wasn't
the
that much to...
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately, there wasn't that much to do. That is what they said.
That's
In
right.
the medical part.
That's right. But the chosen part,
Wow.
it ended like 1 month later.
I was gonna say it didn't end yet.
I don't know if it ended. I don't, yeah.
No, we call for end after I call it after 1 month.
Okay.
So what we do, it's like start the operative part. So the moment we understand we're in Iran, I call my team and I work with them. And
That's an MCI, right? Iran?
I don't know.
What is
Yeah,
that?
mass casualty incident.
That's right, MCI. So I call to my team, and of course we're all volunteers. So I call them, wake up, okay? And everybody was like, one was in the club, the other one was in a date, the third one was sleeping, okay? Each one of them was in a different part in their life, like it was Friday night, or no, it was a
Thursday night.
It was
Thursday
Thursday
night. Okay, so I call them and I ask them, you have to be on call from this moment, I need you. You don't touch your phone beside of me. And they were like, yes, sir. So we start to understand and we start like making a group, a hotline first for the teams that we have there. We have like 300 colleagues over there, okay, with different parts like medical, logistic, Hosen manager, something like this. And each one of them get a call. So I need a lot of teams. And after like a few hours, I think at 7 o'clock in the morning, when the last people leave the scene over there, we will start counting the time when they will get home because they didn't sleep all night and how they're able to drive. And so we have to call them when you get home. Did you drive safe? Are you okay? Go to sleep and start talking with them. And of course, we'll open a hotline for the Shabbat because people need it. And then in Sunday morning,
Which I'm going to interrupt you for a second.
Yeah.
I want to make note, just for our more religious listeners, I think it's important to just state this, even though it's probably so obvious to us, that anything that is, in terms of being Machal Shabbos, desecrating the Shabbos and the rules, applies to anything psychological with Chosen and psychotrauma as well, equally.
yeah.
I just want to
Ah.
state that
I don't think that's obvious. I think it's good to
It's
say.
not
Yeah.
obvious to...
It's good to say when you have a
yeah.
permission from the rabbis.
Absolutely.
Of course.
Absolutely.
Of
Okay,
course.
sorry. Continue.
Yeah, it's really important to say. So in Sunday morning, I find out that I don't have enough hands to help because my teams were start crashing down also because the stories were terrible, and the 300 were not enough. Okay, so I ask in my colleagues. I have like 2 groups in the WhatsApp of my colleagues, and I write like a tiny post. I need help to that, and that, and it was amazing. Like I cried the whole day for the good of the people.
Wow.
Okay, because suddenly I got calls from people which I really don't know, and then not even part in this WhatsApp. I heard that you need help. We want to assist. How can we? And everyone did it in.
Yes.
And everyone
Wow.
did it in a voluntary way, and there was like hospitals who give us like free entrance to the psychiatry. Just come. And there were like a private institution and big institutions, and I have like a list, an amazing list of therapists for free therapy for everyone who need it. So my team will start taking control and start to say, okay, you got this therapist and you got this therapist, and each one of them, whenever he needs therapy, he has it for free, which is amazing.
So we're talking about people who witnessed the scene and our own medics in United Hatzalah?
Not only. Also for family of our medics who were there, okay? Because there was stress, of course. And then the other thing that we did, which was also amazing, we set up 10 groups all over the country for the medics, the teams were over there, for the 300. And then it was amazing because I was thinking about, okay, 10 groups, 300, that's not so many people in each group. But the groups suddenly grow up and there were like 100 people in one group. Because friend of the friend, or people who missed, or people who want to support.
Even the employees, we were invited also to come in Jerusalem because it was it was traumatic that our team was there. Yeah,
of course. So, and there, in trauma we have like a theory that is called the circle theory.
Okay.
Because it's like if the trauma occurs to me, so I'm like in the middle of the circle, and then my family is the second, and my friends and people who were supposed to come with me but they didn't miss it, or my neighbors, or more and more colleagues, and then we have the circles. They can grow up like the whole country. So that's what's happened.
No, really the whole country.
Yeah,
like, literally the
of
circle
course.
was so big it was almost like the whole Jewish world.
The Jewish world, that's right. So we pop up like 10 groups, and during the first week we have another groups in different places because they want to do like a private group also. And then we did like for 4 Saturday nights, we did for 4 Motzach, we did like Motzei Shabbat, we did groups all over the country. And after 1 month we said, okay, it's enough. And I want to say something which is really interesting. This is actually a paper that I actually write in, which I don't like to write papers. I hate to write. I love to work. I don't like to write. I mentioned before that in cases of trauma, by statistics and theories, if 100 people we went to a trauma place and they have the same trauma, probably 10 or 15 will be affected and will develop a PTSD in the future. But if you assist and do chosen in the first minutes, you can really reduce it. So after 6-8 months after that, we have only to exclude 3 people from the 300. Wow. Think about statistics. It's nothing. It's amazing. And this is why we helped so hard in the first moment. It's like
that's
our
what
family.
I was referring to. I wasn't saying it right before when I was saying how you have to be there in the first few minutes, and you said not necessarily. That's what I was referring to.
It's in the moment, the first.
Right, because it helps long term in terms of
like that month, that intense month of those meetings, and it's like.
And the free therapy to anyone. Yeah. You just need something, please come. Whatever you need, you can come. We can come to you. We do it by Zoom. You can go to the hospital. Whatever you need. At the moment we like hug them in the therapy way, okay, for the first months, we help them to reduce that. Like my house was like open house. Wow. Each one of them just, I'm around here, I don't need that. One of here will tell me, I don't need that, I'm not a crazy people, I don't need host, I don't need anything, but I will come drink coffee with you. And he stayed like for 4 hours in my house. Wow. Okay, and of course he doesn't need that. So, but it was okay. It's like we stopped our life and we were just doing Chosen Meron. And after 1 month, we say it's enough. Okay, and then began a war.
Right, yeah. I don't think we don't have time to go into like terrorism and...
No, but it was like the last
right
war.
Away. It was right away.
It's right away,
it was right
okay?
Away.
It was really...
In the south. Missiles and it was
in
crazy.
the center, not in the south. Rishon Letzion was bombed a lot.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
I was thinking the south because that was where our campaign was based. Yeah, you're right. There's just I could sit here for another hour, but we're really getting close to our hour. I do wanna jump to one other thing that I wanted to cover today. This, like you said before, I'm trying to think, how do you say chiddush in English? Like
how do you say what?
Chiddush, like a novel idea, novella, is that a word? Did I just make that up? Like a really new, pioneering, trailblazing kind of concept.
Yeah,
There we go.
I think.
I
yes.
covered it? Yeah.
You
okay.
did it right.
Good.
Got it.
So that's really what the Psychotrauma Unit is. It does, like you said, it doesn't exist in other places.
That's right.
So just like many other things in Israel, it's also our technology, and there are many parts of United Hatzalah that we've now done training in all over the world, Panama, India, Sri Lanka. Specifically the psychotrauma program, there's something big coming up, I believe, in May.
And many things big are
Okay,
coming
many
up.
big things are coming up. This is going to be the first time that we're going to be training people outside of Israel and psychotrauma. Is this true? So can you tell us you're going to be going to
we
New
have a
York?
few programs
Wanna
about
hear.
that. I build like a training from afar, which is built of 3 phases. The first phase is by Zoom. For everything is now like working in 2 levels. There's one level for the professional teams like me, and the second level is for the medics, or it's open like for anyone who want to help. So, but the same program is for the both. So the first level is training by Zoom. We have 6 meetings, 1 hour and a half each meeting, and we study the basic tools in psychotrauma. And then we have...
We're talking about Israel right now.
No, by Zoom, I'm here and they're over there.
I meant people in America.
Yeah.
Okay.
Soon I tell you wherever they are.
Okay, sorry.
Because I have a few programs.
Okay.
And the second phase is that they have like articles they have to read, and then we have like a short quiz. And in the end, we are going to meet together for 3 days of workshop. We're actually going to practice more and more and more and more, and like do the fine tuning about the method, and then we're able to do chosen wherever they are. So the first group is from New Jersey, from professionals, women in New Jersey. And beside that, we have like programming in Manchester in the UK, and in London also a program, and in Panama, I hope so, soon. And we have, I think it's the first time, which I was really excited about that, cross fingers with me also, we're going to have like a program at the Yeshiva University in New York.
Wow.
We are going to do like an academic course about how to deal with cases of psychotrauma, which is amazing.
So the audience is going to be professionals, and
Yeah.
you're going to be training them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was just thinking, my dad, his office was next to the World Trade Center, and he saw 9/11, and I was just thinking that, wow, imagine we had the Psychotrauma Unit in this situation. I mean, the cases of post-trauma,
Of course.
like,
Still to today.
till today.
course.
Oh, yeah, oh,
Of
yeah.
course.
It will be interesting to know after how many, maybe there were many witnesses in the class in Yeshiva University, in like a New York
Are you saying
based.
to write more research again?
No, I wonder if that will be, for New Yorkers, that's like, that is the
Right.
mass casualty event. So
Of
it's
course,
gonna,
of
it'll
course.
come up in probably in New Jersey, where I grew up in New Jersey, but so
Mhm.
it's the area. So I'm sure it's gonna come up.
I'm
Have
sure.
to have a do a follow-up. I'm just interested in
I'm sure.
I mean, it's really it's something super remarkable that, you know, Israel just keeps coming up with these incredible, innovative programs or missions, or I don't know what's
The
it called.
Jewish mind.
Yes, completely. And the fact that you're now bringing this to America
That's
and
amazing.
spreading
It's
it,
amazing.
So important.
it's unbelievable. I mean, it's literally saving lives, because when you save someone's emotional inner I don't know, mechanisms, or it really
He saved like the whole circus in his
Yeah.
life. Everyone he touched
Yes.
will be affected in a good way or in a bad way. So the moment you help them to change that, you do the change.
I'm just curious, like, for people who have, let's say, depression, anxiety, or whatever, anything, right, mental health issues or not, do you find that a lot of times it started or culminated, or it's like comes back to a certain one point in their life, like they were molested, they witnessed their father kill their mother? I don't know, that's very extreme. But
No,
like,
I see what that's.
do you find that to be like a
Yes.
correlation?
Yes, because imagine that you have, I will explain it in a metaphoric way, okay? Imagine that you have an amazing box, like pink color with a nice shiny things and everything. It's really cozy, really nice. And in the middle of this box, you put like a rock apple, okay, something really smelly. And then you don't give notice about that. So you add flowers, and you add, I don't know, fairies, you add whatever you want to do that. And you never treat this bad apple. And you continue your life. like you grow up, you don't need a box, you will put it on the side, but something is going to happen, okay? It's chemistry. Something is going to happen over there, okay? Or it's going to start linking outside, or maybe it's going to explode, or something going to be smell. So this is how trauma works in your soul. If you not deal that,
soul, not
yeah,
your body. I love you
your
just said
soul.
that.
So if you don't deal the trauma, it will start affecting everything, your soul, and the end your body. And sometimes the first symptoms is from your body. Like today, updated, we know that migraines and fibromyalgia and heart attacks and cholesterol, and it's happened for trauma. And sometimes when I ask the person, when was the first time you felt like you have like high blood pressure? Okay, what's happened to you? I don't know, it was last year. Yeah, but what's happened? And then I understand he was a member of, he was part of, that's happened to him. Oh, suddenly he reminds that this has happened to him. Everything is connected. Our body and soul is connected. If you don't treat this part, it will affect the other part.
Absolutely. And I think something, just like a side note, what was interesting about the Me Too movement is that I think for the first time it validated people who weren't necessarily like molested or raped, but were just touched inappropriately, even if it was like one time when they were 13, you know? And it validated those small little moments that they might have just thought, okay, no big deal, and it turned it into like a defining moment of their life, which you can actually call a trauma. And I think in general, I think it's important to say, I mean, you can say this better than I can, but that trauma doesn't necessarily mean you saw, God forbid, a parent murdered or you were molested. Yeah. It could be something, quote unquote, small, right? I mean, and that could be a trauma.
Trauma, it used to be, we have like our therapist Bible, the name is DSM, this is the American version, or the ICD, the European version. Right. And even if Israel is obligated to the European version, the ICD, we feel like part of the state, so we always work with the DSM.
Not surprised.
Not surprised. We're another star. But the thing is like, when they start to define in trauma is changing all over the versions of the DSM. And one of the amazing thing is that you don't have to be affected of a trauma. For example, there is a huge fire, okay? You don't have to be part of the fire. You don't have even to be witness of the fire. You maybe just look in the news about the fire and it affects you, so you are traumatized. And at the moment it's validate that, you can understand that trauma, it's happened in a different way, in a different moves, and we're affected and traumatized for different things. Of course, in sex abuse, okay? If someone look at you in a wrong way and you feel for the moment like you're not in a safe place, you are traumatized, okay? So I really love the Me Too, because it's like, it validates everything.
Right.
And it's not only happened to me and it's a top secret, it's happened to you and you and you, and statistic, it's happened to everyone.
Right. It sounds like in a lot of trauma situations, everyone feels so alone until their situation gets validated by, you know, and as we're talking about trauma in the scene, it's getting validated right there. But as people lived with those Me Too stories for so many years, and then finally when they were validated, they were able to even let it up to speak about. So very interesting.
We've reached our hour, and I could just keep going and going and going.
Let's keep going.
Yeah, I know. We're gonna have to have you back, I think. Yeah. But I do want to end on a nice note, because this was very heavy. We talked about a lot of heavy things. My last question for you is, what do you do for fun?
Ooh, hobbies.
Wow.
Yeah. Not writing.
No writing, no way.
And not running.
No.
We spoke about it.
No running. Pilates maybe.
Yes.
I like to travel a lot. I like to see new countries, to drink good, to eat good. I like to knit. I love knitting. I love to knit. It's really calm me. Wow. Netflix, it's my best friend. If there's like a zombie movie, I really love that. Yeah. I love to be with my family. I really love to cook and bake. Oh, wow. To be with my family and of course my cats. Basic. There's a basic. It's like, yeah.
Amazing. Because one thing I really do appreciate about you is I'm friends with you on Facebook, and I see the fun that you're having. And I'm like, you know what? This lady,
Yeah.
she's amazing. Like, she knows how to have a good time.
I just had like in Mer's show in London a week ago of the heist money heist, as you say it in English, money heist. It's one show.
Money
on Netflix.
Heist.
Money heist.
Ah.
And I was totally excited, like a child over there, because they give me like a red, I don't know what is it, sarbal, red costume, and I was like this, and I felt like I stole the gold, and I was feeling excited about that. Yes,
That's
of course.
amazing.
Einat, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for coming. Wow.
Thank
a lot
you.
to digest
Yeah.
in a good way.
Yes,
Yeah,
and
thank
it just
God.
is like a springboard for so much more to talk about. So I'm like, part 2.
We're having you back. Yeah.
Really, thank you so much for making the time to sit with us. And I hope
Thank
this
you.
was really helpful to everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you so much for listening to the United Humans podcast.
Share this with a friend, subscribe, and we already know you're going to leave us a positive review, so we'll just thank you now for that.
Bye.
Adios.